Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for another card making video. This one's a bonus, this video, so I don't normally film these, but I had a whole heap of cards that I've made for a sketch challenge, which is an Instagram hop. So in the description there'll be links to my Instagram page right at the bottom, but if you just look for me, Stamping with Inky Butterfly, you'll find my Instagram, and in there there'll be links to lots of other participants in the hop, all using this particular sketch. Now the sketch itself isn't really something I usually make, which is kind of why I like these challenges. I like to sort of have those thrown at me, because otherwise you just don't sort of expand your outside your normal comfort zone, right? So I got to thinking and I made some cards, and I was doing them in several colours, so I thought I'd film it as well. Okay, so as you might gather, the sketch is about having strips across the width of the card, in not straight. That is another thing to get my head around. I like things that aren't straight, with like a label design. And this is how I've interpreted it. So I've actually used the bouquet something, what is it called? Beautiful Bokeh. Okay, so this is a carryover designer series paper. It's a 6x6 sheet, so you can see where I've started hacking into that, but all the colours in here I've used basically. So we've got a balmy blue, we've got Berry Burst, which is what I'm going to make with you today, Calypso Coral, Daffodil Delight, Fresh Freesia. Those are the 5 colours that are in there to create these cards. Okay, and then I've embellished them with this lovely tag, which I've forgotten to get out in front of you. What are these called? These are a new one. They're an online exclusive called Paper Tag Dies. So you get these ones plus the 2 that I'm going to use today. There's a cute banner and everything. These are really good for creating swatches of your cardstock if you want to do something like that. That's really cool. So that's how I made this. Okay, we've got beautiful butterflies coming through again as well. Love this set. This one's carried over and is available online. And we've got Simply Said, which is carried over into the annual catalogue. Okay, so I love this set. Really nice basic set of sentiments in the different typefaces. Really nice one to add to your collection. And I just kept it simple with the Just a Note, fitted nicely into the tag that we created there. Okay, and I say the extra butterflies just gave it a little bit more of a me vibe, really. Okay, all right, so there we go. Daffodil Delight, Calypso Coral, Fresh Freesia, and Balmy Blue. Okay, and then we're going to make one with Berry Burst. So I have a Berry Burst card base already cut. Whoops, picked up a stray bit of paper there. And I've got a panel of basic white here. Actually, this is Willow White, which is the other white cardstock that we've now got in 12x12, which is slightly brighter white and not quite as thick, but for layering you don't need it to be. And I've gone around the edge with the Berry Burst Stampin' Blends marker, just to sort of give it that little sort of bleed through. We're going to put some ink on it as well. Berry Burst card base, and then I've already cut the strips of the bokeh paper. These are 4 3/4 of an inch wide, so they fit nicely on that white panel, and they are 1/2 inch wide. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. Okay, and we'll come back to those bits and pieces in a minute, but we've got to do some other stuff first. So we've got labels to cut. Okay, so we're going to do the label out of the Berry Burst to create that that label, but I'm also going to cut that little mini butterfly die as bottom, I'm going to say bottom, body in there, that cardstock isn't going to be seen, we're going to be hidden, and we need a body for our little die cut butterfly, so we'll put that onto the cutting plate ready. As long as those two don't overlap each other, they're going to be good. This little die is going to make our white butterfly accent, so again I've got another lovely little scrap of paper there just to do that with. So we'll put that ready to die cut as well. We're going to use this scrap of cardstock for the stamping of the label. Okay, so I've already used this scrap up, and you can see where I've used this piece already for the butterfly. So if I stamp that carefully in there, that's going to fit around there. Okay, so here's our berry burst ink. That we're going to use. So we need our butterfly in there, so just making sure we've got the clearance around that. So just firm pressure just to make sure all that ink transfers. Okay, so that's that done. That'll just dry for a second, and I want to get that wiped off. And then we're going to use this piece to stamp our sentiments, so let's just make sure that's going to be in the right place because we haven't got much room. Okay, and we're going to pop that in just there. And again, just hold it down, make sure that all that ink transfers. Not pressing hard, just firmly, so it's flat and making contact with the cardstock so that that ink transfers and soaks in. Okay, just going to pop away that ink pad just for the moment while we're doing all the other bits and pieces. So we will just use a bit of tape to just hold this into place. So the sentiment seems to fit quite nicely in between those sort of parallel straight lines. Okay, so we'll pop that in there, and that we can die cut that. So far this is all fitted on my my platform of my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So hopefully I can get all this cut in one go. And we'll just keep that in place there. And I'm going to pop that in there. Just going to cut off some of this excess cardstock just so it fits better. Okay, that can go in the recycling. So I've got all of those on the cutting plate so that I can cut them all at the same time. Okay. So this is what we're actually creating. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that top plate on there and run all those through the machine, so everything's going to get cut all at the same time, which saves a whole heap of time. Okay, so here's our label that we can then stack together. A little butterfly body and the berry burst label that we can layer together, so no one's going to know that that hole's in there because it's all going to get covered up. Our berry burst butterfly and our little white detailed butterfly, which we'll need to just take off that plate there. They do get stuck in, the pressure just sort of kind of, you know, presses the cardstock into the plate, so sometimes it gets a bit stuck, especially when it's so well used like this. Okay, and then you just want to poke out those little bits. Sometimes they fall out, sometimes they don't. Okay, and then those can just go. Those bits do go in the bin, they're little teeny tiny pieces. Okay, a couple of little bits to do, and so I'm just going to use this silicone mat rather than getting my bench top covered. So I'm going to add a little bit of shape to these wings, and I'm just going to use a dab of the wet glue on there, and take your pick tool with that tacky end just to help us pop that into place. Okay, and I use that's just the lid of the other end, just to help me press that down. So that's going to dry while we get other things done. Okay, so let's layer this together. We'll just use Stampin' Seal for this. Just a couple of bits of that, and just layer those together. Just fits inside these lovely stitched edges that we've got on there. Looks cute, right? And that's going to be stuck on our card with dimensionals, so just want a couple of those. Back on there, so that's ready to go. And this guy's also going to have some dimensionals on him, so I'm just going to bend the wings up and round so they've got some shape. And then I'm going to use some mini dimensionals on the back of those wings so that it holds its shape. Okay, just go back to our card base here. Just going to take some of the white off the edge of this. I'm just going to bring in some scrap paper. We have got the Berry Burst ink pad out, but sometimes there's some residual ink on the on our brushes. So if there's enough on there, you don't necessarily need to open the ink pad again, and I think we've got enough. Okay. Of course, you could add a bit more ink if you wanted to. I just want a little bit of a subtle tone on there, just to sort of break up that white a little bit. Okay, so sometimes there's just enough on there for you to not need to open up that ink pad again. So Stampin' Seal again on this. And we'll add it to our card base. So need to bear in mind my borders are going to be larger than they normally are. And using the Stampin' Blend marker, we could use a Stampin' White marker actually. Just the blend will dry quicker. It kind of bleeds into the edges here and there, and because it's sort of a you know, not everything is straight on this card. It sort of adds another bit of fun to it. Okay, so I'm going to use some seal again just to add some glue to these little bits of paper, and I'm just popping it at either end. Don't need to use it all along the whole length of the strip. Just use what you have to. It's a way of preserving your supplies. Okay, so only use what you have to. And then we'll just start adding these onto background. Okay, and the trick is not to try and think about it. If you try and think about it, you'll agonise about getting them right. So just put it on. Just get it on there. Okay, and try not to think about it too much. Okay, a tag or embellishment or sentiment, whatever, can then go on wherever you need to. The sketch tells me, or guides me, I should say. You don't have to do exactly what the sketch says, but it's towards the left, so let's pop that around there, and then we can add our butterflies. So again, bit of a connection, make the elements connect with each other, just with a little bit of an overlap there, and then this little guy is going to have to go on with a little dab of glue on the back of the body there. Okay, and then he can be up here, and again you can tuck it under the other one or something like that if you want to have that connection there, but the whole thing should connect up like that. Okay, so I've opted not to add any embellishments to these cards. I've just left them with the sketch idea to speak for itself. Okay, but of course you could add some ribbon as well. The sort of strips, if you like, don't have to be cardstock. They could be something else, or they don't have to be DSP. They could be something else. Okay, so there's 5 cards, all made with that sketch. Okay, so something that's definitely not my normal layout really, but hopefully it gives you some ideas on what you could make too. Okay, if this is something new for you. All right, like I said, this is part of an Instagram hop. Do have a look, see what everybody else has created, give you some more ideas. Okay, all right, so that's it from me today. Everything will be in the description. Hope you're staying safe, do take care, and I'll see you again soon for another regular time video. Okay, see you later guys, bye.